thanks for being with us today. Now we are going to have a discussion on the history of democracy and the problem of democracy system. So Thomas, can you start introducing the history of democracy then?
Well, democracy, according to most historians, appeared around 508 BC in Athens, Greece. At that time, apparently the men of Athens, some of the men of Athens, decided that it should be only adult male citizens who owned land that should make all of the decisions for society.
So in other words, those slaves or those people from other countries and even women would not be able to vote or to express their opinions in Greece then?
That's exactly correct, Jeannie. In other words, only a small section of society, adult male citizens who owned land, were able to vote. That basically excluded about 85% of society. So in essence, in our first democracy, only about 15% at the most of the people of Athens, Greece, were eligible to vote, participate.
And Thomas, I'm curious about the history of about women. When did women really get the chance to vote? So I did a little research because I was surprised to find out that I think the first country that gave women the chance to vote is actually a part of Finland when it was still ruled by the Russian Empire. And it's in 1906, so it's not really long ago. And we now refers to the United States as the leader of the democracy system. And actually, the US always tells everybody to follow the US, to follow the democracy system. And actually, the United States of America, actually that country gave women the chance to vote in 1920. So it's not even 100 years ago. And when they gave women the right to vote, actually the African American, or we say the blacks, were still out of that group then. And Thomas, do you know when do the Chinese or we got the chance to vote?
I do not, but I would say that this is a common problem that we have with democracy. When looking at democracy, we've got to really define what democracy is, because people have an idea that our countries, our nations are democratic, but without really understanding the definition of democracy, the question arises, how democratic are our democracies?
So yeah, I guess the question would be, when women would be really happy they get the chance to vote. But at the same time, do we really know, after we vote, what will happen afterwards? So can you explain how the democracy system works?
Well, first let's have a look at what democracy is. Many people have their definitions, but let's just look for a definition that matters. And what matters in a democracy is opportunity for the people to participate equally in the decision-making processes of society. So we can say that democracy is basically a collective, which is a group working together, a collective expression of people making decisions. So democracy, we can say, is a collective expression of equality. The equality being the degree to which people have the opportunity to equally participate in society. Therefore, if we see, okay, democracy is the ability to participate in society, what we want to ask ourselves is, how much ability does each person have to participate in society's decision-making processes? Currently, what most countries have is called representative democracy. And if we look at representative democracy, for example, of the United States, we see that only a very, very, very small minority of the people are making the decisions for the majority of people. So in reality, if there are 100 people in a collective and 90 of them have the ability, the opportunity to participate equally in the decision-making processes, then we would say that that democracy is functioning at 90% of its potential. We could give that democracy a grade of 90. Vice versa, if we turn that around and look, for example, at the United States to see how many people are actually participating in the decision-making processes, we see that it's less than 1%. Therefore, in reality, if we grade the democracy of the USA, it would receive a failing grade of less than 1%, because that is the percentage of the people that are participating actually making the decisions for all of society. Herein, well, we have the technology these days to include more people. The question is, why are we not including more people in the democratic decisions?
So Thomas, you were saying because we vote, when we vote, we select some representatives, and we were hoping, right, these representatives will speak, right, for our, maybe for our benefits, and really do something for these voters. But in fact, it's usually not the case. So in Taiwan, some people are not so satisfied with the lawmakers because they think they're now just representing a small area. And I think it's the same thing in the US, because when, well, I do have some friends is doing this, right? They need to welcome these, right, visitors from the United States. And so from the particular states, maybe the Senate or other lawmakers, they are trying to sell their products from the state or the area they are representing. So they are not doing things, right, for the voters. They are trying to keep, right, their
positions.
Power.
Right. The problem is, and this is the problem with all of our systems in the world, is money. Money is the dominant system which infiltrates and regulates all other systems. For example, in democracies, in order to get elected, politicians often need large sums of money. Those sums of money come from the wealthiest individuals in society. And for the most part, I wouldn't say that they just give that money without expecting anything in return. So in order to get elected, politicians need money, and that money comes from the wealthy, for the most part, 1% of society. Therefore, if a politician wants to do something good, but then that person who gave him money or her money says, hey, I need this law passed, what is the politician going to do? He or she has to consider the money aspect, and often the money gets considered before the people.
So I think that sadly is the case, right, in both Taiwan and the United States. And Thomas, you were also saying we can use new technologies to being able to participate in the democracy.
Exactly. We're in the digital age. Now we have the ability to include all of the people's voices in all of the decision-making processes of society. Google does it, Facebook does it. Why are our democracies still limiting the voices of the people. A democracy is graded upon the opportunity by which people have to participate. The more opportunity that people have to participate, the higher the grade of the democracy. Therefore, I suggest we upgrade our democracies to the digital age.
So I think that's the reason why the mayor in Taipei City is introducing iVoting.
Wow.
Because he really wants more people to participate in decision making. So Thomas, thanks for discussing with us about the subjects of democracy today. So thanks you all for hearing us today. We hope to see you in the future. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.